So today the topic which we are going to discuss is multi-year holding period. So in yesterday's class we discussed about share valuation where the shareholder was investing his money only for 1 year. But it is usually not the case. The investor may want to invest for you know uh, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because investor is basically someone who invests his money over a period of time in stock exchange, right? In any security. So he may not invest in a security for just 1 year. So he may invest for maybe more than 1 year. So again, the formula, the crux, the foundation of the concept of share valuation will remain same. Like as we discussed yesterday, that in shares we get income in two form, right? We get income first in the form of dividend and other in the form of capital appreciation. So we get income in two forms, dividends and capital appreciation. So dividend is what we receive every year, and capital appreciation is basically when we talk about capital appreciation, it means at what price the investor is going to sell off his security. So again, as we discussed in dividends, we use which table? Present value annuity table. Now point is, present value annuity table would be used if that income is same for 5 years, right? So present value annuity factor, this table is used when the amount of dividend is same every year, but if the amount of dividend is changing every year, then again we cannot use PVAF table, and we have to use present value interest factor table, okay, normal PVF table. So in case of bond valuation we majorly use PVAF table because the interest we receive from bond over a period of time was constant. But in case of shares, the the dividend we receive every year may not be same. So because it may not be same, it can be same or it cannot be same, it depends, right? That models we will also study, constant growth rate model and changing growth rate model. But today we are talking about multi-year holding period where the dividend may not be same every year. When the dividend is not same over the period of time, then obviously we cannot use PVAF table. Then again we have to use PVIF table. So in every question you have to understand which table should be used, PVF table or PVAF table. So very wisely we have to understand. Then again in capital appreciation is nothing but the selling price of the share, right? The selling price of the share, and we use PVIF table to calculate the present value of the share. So here ultimately what do? We have to calculate present value of both dividends received over the period of time and the selling price at the end of the holding period, right? So we have to calculate present value of both the concepts, right? So PVIF table to calculate the present value of selling price at the end of selling price at the end of holding period. Okay, so this is what we have to do. So always remember that bond valuations or share valuations, every model of valuation completely is based upon present value concept, time value of money, and you have to very wisely understand, rather than just learning the formulas. It's better if you understand. There are set formulas also, but I'm not telling you the set formulas because I want you to understand the concept of share valuation. So again, now we have to think wisely that which formula should be used, which PVIF table should be seen or PVF table should be seen. So let's again, the formula will remain same like we did in earlier class. So the market value, I mean the worth, intrinsic value, the concept of intrinsic value we discussed in last class, right? So the intrinsic value, S naught is the intrinsic value. So how do we calculate intrinsic value of the share in multi-year holding period? For example, the investor is holding the share for maybe 3 years, okay? So and the dividend for 3 years is also changing, varying, right? So what we will do here, so D1 is dividend at in first year, right? So D1 into, we'll see PVIF table because the dividend is changing every year. It is not constant, right? So I'll just write it here. The model which I am using here is multi-year holding period, and in which dividend is not same every year. It is varying, okay? So this is what I am doing. So D1 into PVIF, because dividend value will change over the period of time, Rn. So here R is the required rate of return which we want from holding the security for maybe 3 years. So required rate of return, and time would be because we are calculating the present value of dividend for first year. So here N would be 1, right? Then D2 into PVIF Rn. So again, R would be the required rate of return and N would be year 2, because we are calculating the present value of second year's dividend, right? So N would be 2 here. Then again plus, then third year's dividend, D3, right? D3 into, now we have to calculate present value of third year's dividend. So PVIF R is again the required rate of return, and N would be 3 because we are this is the third year when the investor is holding the share. So this is what we do. And then for example, at the end of third year, the investor will sell off the security. So here what we'll do, again the selling price of the share, I'll write selling price here, okay? SP is selling price into, now again PVIF table we'll see because this is one time payment. PVIF R, required rate of return, and N, because we are selling it at the end of third year, so N would remain same. So as you can see, in last year's dividend N is 3, and the selling price, in the selling price part, the N would again be 3. So here 2 times 3 would be there, right? So this is the formula. Now it may change. If the holding period is 4 year, we will add D4 into PVIF Rn. If the holding period is 5 years, then you can increase D1, D2, D3 as per the holding period of the investor. It completely depends on the holding period. But always remember that last dividend and selling price n time would remain same. So this is the concept of multi-year holding period, right? So the question which we are doing today, the concept which we are understanding today is of multi-year holding period, plus where dividend is not same every year. That's why we are using PVIF table. We are not using PVAF table at all. Okay. So let's start with some example. So if an investor expects to get if an investor expects to get rupees 3.50, rupees 4, and rupees 4.50 as dividend from a share during the next 3 years, and hopes to sell it off at rupees 75 at the end of third year. And the required rate of return is 25%. So this is the return which the investor expects, like whatever the selling price is, whatever the dividend is, but the investor basically expects that I should earn at least this much of return by holding the security for 3 years and selling it off at rupees 75. So basically this required rate of return will help you to understand that at what price I should buy. So when we talk about share valuation or bond valuation, we actually try to understand that at what price we should buy the security. This is the major a sense of share valuation. At what price we should buy the security? What is the intrinsic value of the security? So that we should not buy anything overpriced, or we should not buy anything costly. So this is the essence of share valuation. So here the required rate of return is 25%. So calculate the intrinsic value of the share. So now we will apply the above formula which I have just discussed with you, this formula. So let's start with this. Here we are. We know all the meanings. S naught is the intrinsic value, right? Now D1. What is D1? D1 is the dividend of first year. So as you can see in the question, dividend is 3.50 into PVIF. So required rate of return is 25%. So 25, and N is, because we are talking about first year's dividend, so its present value would also be on the basis of 1 year. So that's why we are writing 1 here, right? If I'll write 3, then it will tell you present value in context of 3 years. But that is not right. No, we got dividend at the end of first year. That's why 1. N is 1. Then D2 is 4. And PVIF, R is again 25%. This is my required rate of return. If I hold the security for 3 years, I want at least 25% return. Then again, this dividend I am going to get at the end of 2 years, right? Second year. So that's why present value also I will calculate according to 2 years. Then D3 is 4.50. At the end of third year, I got the dividend of 4.50. And again, I will calculate its present value. Present value 25% return I want, and N is again 3. selling prices at the end of 3 years. I expect, everything is expectation in valuation. In stock market, you cannot say anything with certainty that this will happen. Every time you estimate, you expect. So here I expect to sell it off at rupees 75. So of course, if I'll get 75 at the end of 3 years, then again present value also have to calculate according to 3 years, right? So in 3 years, if I'm getting a dividend of 3.50 at the end of first year, 4 rupees at the end of second year, 4.50 at the end of third year, and at the end of third year, I also expect to sell the security at rupees 75. So what do I have to do? I have to calculate the present value of all the inflows which I'm going to receive in next 3 years. So what I'm doing, I'm calculating present value of all the inflows. Okay. So here S naught is, now I will calculate the values. So 3.50 into, now PVIF, we have to see this table. PVIF 25.1. So here the value is 0.8 plus 4 into PVIF table 25% 2 years. So here the value is 0.64 plus at the end of third year I am receiving 4.50 into PVIF. We have to see 25% 3 years. So here the value is 0.5120 plus again at the end of third year I will sell it at rupees, and I expect to sell it at rupees 75. So again we have to see 25% 3 years. So again here it will remain same 5120. Now we will just solve it. So here 3.50 into 0.8 is 2.80 plus 4 into 0.64 is 2.56 plus 4.50 into 0.5120, it is 2.30 plus 75 into 0.5120, it is 38.40, right? And here the price would be 46.06. So the true worth of the share, if I want to buy this share in market today to gain 3.50 in at the end of first year, 4 at the end of second year, 4.50 at the end of third year, and sell it off at the end of third year at rupees 75, I have to pay 46.06 today. So if this stock is available in the market at 46.06, I will buy it. Or maybe if it is available at less than 46.06 also, right, then I will buy it. But if it is available at a higher price, then I will not buy it, right? So if the share is available at 46.06 at rupees 46.06 or less in the market, I will buy, the investor will buy it. The investor will buy it. But if it is available at a price which is higher than 46.06, the investor should not buy it, right? So if you change the required rate of return, maybe if your required rate of return becomes 30%, then obviously this price will reduce. Again, maybe you have to buy at maybe at rupees 40 or something. So I'll just write it. If the required rate of return, if the required rate of return is 30%, then the intrinsic value, or you can say the investor has to buy it at a price which is even less than 46.06, right? So what does this mean? That there is an inverse relationship between required rate of return and the share value. We can write intrinsic value.